Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach, but really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
Several months later.
President Trump is revoking Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. Former President Biden extended Harris's protective detail for an additional year on top of the 6 months she's required to have by law. Now the president's saying they can terminate that effective September 1st. How significant is that?
Yeah, it is significant. The former vice president, is about to do a very big book tour in just a couple of weeks that has her traveling around the country. This is very highly publicized. A spokesperson for the former vice president says simply that Harris is grateful to the U.S. Secret Service for their professionalism, dedication, and unwavering commitment to safety. Now, we do know that former President Biden had extended Harris's protection for an additional 12 months. That's on top of the 6 months that she was given by law because she is a former vice president. So that would have been a year and a half. That will now be cut short.
Say the fuck whatever you want to say. That fat motherfucker scared of this lady. He knows the power she has. That lady don't give a fuck about no Secret Service. Mama grew up in Oakland, California. Okay? He knows that this book tour gonna change the game for her. He know that this lady is more powerful and more influential than him and them racist pieces of shit in the White House could ever be. He know his ass is on borrowed time and that clock is ticking. He also knows that the Heritage Foundation is burning down fast from inside out. He also knows that the man who went to study blackness and how he thought he was going to have us is he just knew the niggas was going to be in the streets, but we at home and the white folks out in the street. Republicans, y'all time is almost up and I'm so excited about it. It's time for a new group any fucking way. He also know his ass is limited on time. Kamala work out an hour every day. The man with the dead hands ass is almost out of here. I'm so excited for you, young T. Kamala. I hope you see this video. Fuck that orange bastard. You'll be fine.
Boy, 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 boy. So we got to talk about some news that has the Democrat Party fuming, okay? Because President Trump has revoked Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris ahead of her book tour, which I find to be absolutely hilarious, okay? And we're going to get into the details of President Trump doing this because Democrats, liberals, the media, of course, they're going to be crying foul, right? They're going to be crying foul over this. But like always, Democrats have zero room to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about this because they are once again exposing themselves as massive hypocrites, okay? We're going to get into it, right? We're going to talk about it. But first, let's go ahead and roll this clip here from Fox so that we can learn more about President Trump stripping Secret Service from Kamala Harris. So without further ado, let's get into it.
9:27 is the time, and we do want to transition to some breaking news in the political world. Take a look at your screen. The very latest coming in from the Associated Press. As they report on this Friday, President Donald Trump has revoked Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. This according to a senior White House official on this Friday. Former vice presidents typically get federal government protection for 6 months after leaving office, while ex-presidents do so for life. But another person familiar with the matter says then President Joe Biden quietly signed a directive that had extended protection for Harris beyond the traditional 6 months. AP goes on to report the people insisted being anonymous this Friday to discuss a matter not made public. As you know, President Donald Trump is a Republican and Biden and Harris are Democrats. Trump defeated Harris in the presidential election last year. The move to drop Harris's Secret Service protection comes as the former vice president, who became the Democratic nominee last summer after a chaotic series of events that led to Biden dropping out of the contest, is about to embark on a book tour for her memoir titled 107 Days. The book is scheduled to be released next month. A senior Trump administration official saying an executive memorandum was issued Thursday to the Department of Homeland Security, ending Harris's security detail and security services. Those had been extended from 6 to 18 months by the Biden administration, so they would have ended in July of 2026, but now they will be terminated Monday. As you may
Wow. So Biden extended her Secret Service by more than a year. Now, under normal circumstances, she's supposed to get 6 months. Biden didn't just double it. He tripled that, right? He gave her triple the amount of time that she actually is entitled to for Secret Service. So, the headline's going to make it seem like, oh, Trump is so mean. He took away Kamala Harris's Secret Service. Oh, God, he's so terrible. And it's like, well, under normal circumstances, she only gets it for 6 months. It's been 6 months, right? It's been 6 months since she left office. In fact, I believe it's been more than 6 months. So I believe that the president was actually generous, right? He was generous when it comes to allowing her to have Secret Service up until this point, okay? So her being stripped of Secret Service is not doing her wrong, okay? He gave her a little bit of extra time that she's not entitled to. She's not entitled to it just because Biden, the past president, gave it to her. The next president can come in and undo that. That's just how it works, right? That's how it works when it comes to executive orders, right? Executive privileges. It is what it is. So, again, I expect the liberal media to frame this as some type of vindictive, mean, spiteful move from Trump. But again, if you look at the amount of time she had it and the amount of time she was entitled to it, she got Secret Service longer than she should have got. Trump was being generous, okay?
Recall last year was a particularly politically charged environment, with President Trump facing 2 assassination attempts, and the Secret Service played a crucial role in protecting the now president. Harris is a former California Attorney General and San Francisco District Attorney. She recently announced she will not run for governor next year. Again, that's the very latest from the Associated Press following breaking news that the Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump, has revoked Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. That coming from the Associated Press on this Friday. Content partners at Fox News also confirming this information. You see it on your screen. President Trump has revoked Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. Former VP spokesperson telling this information to Fox News.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, of course, liberals are upset, right? They're boohoo, whining, and crying over this, as per the usual.
So breaking news. Donald Trump just made one of the most reckless and dangerous moves we've ever seen from a sitting president. He revoked Secret Service protection from Kamala Harris, a former vice president of the United States. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. A former vice president, one of the most high-profile women in America, a woman who has been threatened, vilified, and targeted for years. Trump didn't just cut her protection. He deliberately ripped it away at the exact moment she's about to launch a nationwide book tour where she'll be in front of crowds, cameras, and strangers every single day. I'll tell you, that's not coincidence. It's calculated. By law, former vice presidents only get 6 months of Secret Service protection after they leave office. That 6 months ended for Harris back in July. Normally, her protection would have stopped there, but President Biden saw the writing on the wall. He knew Trump would go after his political rivals. He knew Harris was still a target, so Biden extended her Secret Service protection through January of 2026. Trump didn't just roll back a policy. He overrode that extension. He chose to personally strip away the one safeguard standing between a former vice president and the constant stream of threats she faces every single day. That's not leadership.
The man is downright cruel. He literally canceled Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection right before she's getting ready to go and do a book tour across the country, even with a date in UK, and I think there's 1 or 2 in Canada. Canceling Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. That tells you everything that you need to know, that he absolutely does not care what happens to his opponents. We live in a crazy world, folks, and I can't imagine having that type of notoriety. It's everything with how fired up politics has been this past year.
Are you well? Like, seriously, are you well? This is not new. Stop the fear mongering. It's not new for a president to revoke a previous politician's Secret Service detail? What other president has revoked a vice president's Secret Service detail? What other president has revoked the Secret Service detail of people that worked in his administration? I'll wait while you answer that question. Now, yes, what you said is 100% correct. It's standard for it to last for 6 months. In this case, hers was extended to 18 months instead of the standard 6 months, which would bring us way into next year because he was understanding of the political danger that our politicians are in right now, right? Because people are only walking up to your door and clapping you at your door. And so she got a 6-month extension, which was, again, I have to use this word, revoked prematurely. So what's not new about this? What's not new about this? I've never heard of a president revoking a vice president's security detail.
Donald Trump is literally a racist. He had literally no reason to cancel Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection, but he did anyway. Every vice president usually gets 6 months of coverage, but Joe Biden extended Kamala Harris's coverage by a year. And if you think about it, she really needs this because we live in a racist country and there are going to be people who are going to try to harm her. This was petty, this was payback, and Donald Trump really just doesn't like Kamala Harris, so why else would he not do this?
So Donnie literally just revoked the Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris starting this Monday, and he did it for absolutely no fucking reason. And before I jump in, I just want to say that I have never seen a sitting United States president. What I'm more mad about is the kind of message this is sending, right? The Trump administration did not have to publicly announce this. They could have literally went to her quietly and said, hey, we're taking away your Secret Service detail. And that would have been the end of it. The mere fact that he's announcing this, he's one, just trying to antagonize Kamala Harris because he's terrified of her low-key. And two, it's almost like he's declaring it's open season on Kamala Harris, which is just low. It's just low. It's low. It's unnecessary, it's pathetic, and just yet another example of how far we've fallen as a country. Now, like I said previously, Kamala Harris in all likelihood is going to be fine. She's going to hire private security. But it is worth noting that these fucking maggots have been salivating, foaming at the mouth for when her Secret Service detail expires. I literally made a video a couple months ago about this very same topic because someone was on X talking about how they can't wait for her Secret Service detail to expire. And I will say now what I said then. If any one of you limp brain, inbred motherfuckers touch one hair on Kamala Harris's perfectly silk pressed head, across the country will be jumping off the porch. Now I know that's what Donnie wants, but don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Okay, Democrats are furious over this, right? They're upset. You have Adam Schiff chiming in. He says, another dangerous reminder that there is no agenda more important to Donald Trump than retribution. He feeds conspiracy theories to his followers, makes their targets more vulnerable, then pulls their security. This is a dark road. Okay, yeah, so that's what Adam Schiff says. Rhonda Elaine Fox says, insecure men are the most petty and the most dangerous species. Gavin Newsom, spokesperson, condemned the decision, saying the safety of our public officials should never be subject to erratic, vindictive, and political impulses. And then you have woke Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. She says, quote, this is another act of revenge following a long list of political retaliation in the form of firings, the revoking of security clearances, and more. This puts the former vice president in danger, and I look forward to working with the governor to make sure Vice President Harris is safe in Los Angeles, she told CNN. Yeah, if only they put that same effort into protecting, the average everyday citizen, okay, in Los Angeles, right? But again, apparently they don't really care about that. Now, again, what I find to be hilarious about this, the absolute hypocrisy of all of this, right, from Democrats and liberals, is that, remember, just a year ago, these same people, Democrats, were foaming at the mouth to remove President Trump, former President Trump at the time, right? But former President Trump's Secret Service protection.
A new bill has been introduced in Congress that, if passed, would strip Secret Service protection for convicted felons sentenced to prison. Congressman Benny Thompson proposed that legislation on Friday. It would address the very specific scenario of a Secret Service protectee having to serve time in jail. The proposal is a not-so-subtle dig at Donald Trump and a reminder that none of this is normal. Joining us now is the former chairman of the January 6th committee, Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson of Mississippi.
Good morning, Chairman. It is a pleasure to have you. The Washington Post headline screams, if Trump is convicted, Secret Service protection may be obstacle to imprisonment. I thank you for your legislation. I have been saying for some time that any former president or federal official who has this type of protection and some of the other benefits of being a former member of office, all of that should go away. All of it, all the privileges, all the briefings, all the access should go away until your status is cleared up in the criminal justice system. What say you, sir? This legislation for me is long overdue in this world of Trump.
Well, thank you so much. I think it basically says that in America, no one is above the law. So, you know, it's really simple. The average man or woman on the street assumes that when you break the law, if there are some benefits that you are receiving before you're convicted, you lose those benefits. As you know, all former presidents receive Secret Service protection. So that's a given. But I think in this moment that we're looking at now, just like we have in the past, we have amended the law relative to protectees.
Yeah, so not only did they try to strip President Trump of his Secret Service, right? They tried to use the political witch hunts against him in order to take away his Secret Service. But after President Trump was shot, this guy doubled and tripled down on taking away President Trump's Secret Service. Take a look.
The Mississippi congressman who has proposed removing Donald Trump's Secret Service protection is addressing pushback to that proposal tonight.
Yeah, Congressman Benny Thompson spoke exclusively with 16 WAPT's Scott Simmons about the controversial legislation. Scott, is he backing down on that bill in light of the shooting?
No, he's not. In fact, Benny Thompson is on the House Homeland Security Committee, one of two committees in Congress currently investigating the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. He says his bill did not target Donald Trump, even though it was filed in April.
We won't know seriously where former President Trump stand in this situation until he goes before the judge.
Mississippi Congressman Benny Thompson says he is not backing down on his bill that would remove the Secret Service protection for former President Donald Trump because he is a convicted felon.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. Apparently, we're supposed to feel bad for Kamala Harris, right? We're supposed to feel bad because President Trump stripped Kamala Harris of Secret Service protection that she is not entitled to by law. She is not entitled to protection more than 6 months. Right? She's not entitled to that. He stripped it from her. Okay, actually gave her extra time that, she was not entitled to. And again, these people are claiming, oh, Trump hates black women. He's doing it because he's a racist and he's vindictive and he's going after his political opponents. But just a year ago, Democrats were foaming at the mouth to take away President Trump's Secret Service protection. And again, President Trump was actually president. Okay, he's entitled to it for life. For life. And they tried to take it away. If they actually had the power to pass the legislation, they would have did it. And now they're boohoo, whine, and cry. Now, again, where were all these people? Where was Adam Schiff? Where were all these Democrats? Where were all these liberals that are so concerned about Kamala Harris? Where were they last year when Benny Thompson was pushing for President Trump to have his Secret Service protection stripped? Where were they at? They weren't out here like, oh, they're trying to hurt the president. They hate the president. They're being vindictive. This is retaliation, right? We didn't hear any of that, right? We didn't hear any of that. The mainstream, they were all on board with it. Now all of a sudden they want to cry foul. Oh, this is wrong. You can't do this, right? Amazing, absolutely amazing. But again, I think that regardless, Kamala's gonna be all right, right? This move, in my opinion, is pretty funny because now when it comes to the security for her book event, she's going to have to pay for all that herself. She's going to have to coordinate the logistics and figure all that stuff out. And she's got to foot it, right? It's going to be on her own dime, okay? And which, hey, I'm pretty sure maybe her book tour would pay for it. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, okay? But essentially what you would have if she would have kept her Secret Service protection is her running around selling a book, okay, making money off of it, right? While at the same time not having to pay for security, right? So she's essentially getting a subsidy from taxpayers to run around the country and sell her book, because Secret Service travels with her. All of those costs that are incurred are paid for by the taxpayers for Kamala Harris to run around the country and sell a book that nobody's going to read, right? So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, she's not entitled to it outside of 6 months. Biden extended it, but just because Biden extended it doesn't mean that it can't be revoked, because that's the nature of executive actions. They can be revoked, and that's what President Trump did. And, yeah, liberals and Democrats can be mad, they can be upset, they can cry about it. But just remember, a year ago, these are the same people who were advocating for President Trump, who, again, was actually president. Okay, Kamala was not actually president. She was VP. Big difference. They were advocating for President Trump to have his Secret Service stripped, even after he almost had his brains blown out. They still doubled and tripled down. They said, nah, the former president doesn't need Secret Service protection. So just remember who these people are as they boo-hoo, whine, and cry about this. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.